Well, one of the things we'll be doing in the lead up then to the ANC's elective conference in mid-December is looking at some of the politics of the day and just how the campaigns are wrapping up. And as we say, a week in politics is a long time, and it's especially true for South Africans. Of course, friends can turn enemies within the blink of an eye, as we're seeing currently with some of the coalition governments in Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and Nelson Mandela Bay, just to name a few. There is, of course, the Palapala cloud that continues to hang over President Cyril Ramaphosa. And if that's not enough, the elective conference, of course, is creeping ever closer. So our politics team is getting busier by the day as they try to stay abreast of all of these different developments. And shall we call them political shenanigans or Politcs? Well, joining us in studio tonight to look at some of these machinations is our politics editor, Lukhanyo Calata. And it will kick off the new segment that we start this week, which is This Week in Politics.
Look, well, thank you, Kathy, so much. If it sounds like a lot, well, that's because it is. But don't worry, Kathy, we're here to help you make sense of it all, starting, of course, with this. Now, as we've been reporting throughout today, President Cyril Ramaphosa has claimed that or has claimed at least that he's not violated his oath of office. This, of course, pertains to the allegations leveled against him in the Palapala game farm robbery. The president made his claims in his response to the independent panel that's investigating whether he has a case to answer for in this scandal. Now, Ramaphosa is under pressure to explain how $4 million in cash was stolen from his Palapala game farm in 2020 and whether he kept the money, the robbery and the investigation thereof a secret. Now, former spy boss Arthur Fraser revealed these explosive details a few months ago. The independent panel investigating the matter will now start assessing Ramaphosa's version of events as part of their deliberations. Their decision on whether Ramaphosa should be held to account is expected later this week. Now, the convener of the ANC's Veteran League, Zigalala, has today weighed in on the saga hanging over Ramaphosa's head. Now, according to Zigalala, the president will have no option but to step aside from the party's activities were he to face criminal charges for his alleged involvement in the Palapala scandal.
Because he has a case to answer, it will definitely disqualify him because he's facing criminal charges. And then at the same time, he has to be taken to a disciplinary committee of the ANC. They have to discipline him. And so he cannot be the contender. If that is the case, if he's criminally charged, he cannot. It's the same thing with the case of Comrade Esmakashule. He's been suspended and he cannot partake in any activities of the organization. It makes it very clear. He cannot take part in the structures of the organization. Once you are criminally charged, you cannot. It's there. The constitution of the ANC is very clear on people who are criminally charged.
Now, meanwhile, the African Transformation Movement has slammed the Independent Police Investigative Directorate. The party's accused IPID of failing to act independently in its probe of how some members of President Ramaphosa's security detail were allegedly roped in to trace the suspects who got away with millions of US dollars from the Palapala farm. Now, ATM's President Uvuyo Zungula has vowed to keep IPID and all other entities investigating the president honest.
We're actually having a caucus meeting as a party later on, just to look at all of the institutions, the Public Protector, IPID, Reserve Bank and SARS, and this Section 89. That is when we are going to see what action can we take in order to fast track or ensure that we hold those public institutions accountable for their mandate. With the IPID, we gave them the benefit of the doubt, we shared information with them, and we've done everything that we have when it comes to supplying them with information. And we've even assisted them to get into contact with the legal representatives of Mr. Arthur Fraser. So from now on, we are just going to see how we can work around holding them accountable to make sure that they do not stall the investigation. And most importantly, everyone in the country must be treated equally before the law.
All right, now let's turn our attention to this story, Kathy. Dr. Willem Mkhize's bid to replace Cyril Ramaphosa as ANC president received a shot in the arm in the last 24 hours. The task team overseeing the Youth League has nominated him for the office of ANC president ahead of Ramaphosa. Now, this is the second nomination for Mkhize's campaign after his home province of KwaZulu-Natal tapped him a few weeks ago. Remember, Mkhize comes into this race for power with the Digital Vibes scandal hanging over him, while the Palapala saga hangs over his opponent. Now, it's unclear, though, how significant this nomination by the task team will be, considering that it's not an elected structure, rather it was appointed to lead the Youth League to an elective conference. Now, despite this, the task team has also nominated Paul Mashatile to be Mkhize's deputy president. This tap almost confirms Mashatile as a shoe-in for the ANC's second office, as he features in that position for almost every slate that's hit the public thus far. Now, it seems Fikile Mbalula's bid for the office of Secretary General is picking up momentum. The task teams also nominated him instead of Mdumiseni Ntuli, the man widely believed to be the front-runner for the position to replace the suspended Ace Magashule as the ANC's SG. And finally, it seems that despite being led by a team of very strong young women, the task team only had space for one woman in the ANC's top 6. They've nominated Nomvula Mokunyane to the position of Deputy Secretary General to replace the late Jessie Duarte. And finally, Kathy, with all the moving and shaking that we've seen unfolding in Gauteng's metros these last few weeks and months, we can expect more upheaval this week. And it kicks off on Tuesday already, where the Council of Ekurhuleni is expected to elect a new mayor. Remember, the former mayor there, Tanya Campbell, was ousted in a vote of no confidence about 10 days ago. And then the mayor of Tshwane, Russell Williams, will have to gird himself this week. Action SA wants him investigated over the Kratos power generating consortium saga. Now, an independent panel in that matter found his instructions to municipal officials violated the councillor's code of conduct. Now, Williams had supported a now controversial and unsolicited bid for alternative electricity generation for the city that would have cost between 6 and 9 billion rand. And lastly, the ANC's National Executive Committee will meet in person for the first time in almost 2 years this weekend at Nasrec, the venue for this year's elective conference. Now, that meeting kicks off on Friday, but we'll have more about that when we give you the next update of This Week in Politics on Thursday evening at 18:35. Well, Kathy, that's it from me for now.
All right, thanks for that, Lukhanyo. Let's